Have you met him?
Oh, yes, we did actually. Our first podcast with him was in 2019.
Oh, I saw that one
during production hell.
Yeah.
And we were so happy. So as you know, we have a social strategy. So we push our research out through social media as we give it away or as we're evolving it. And he liked a piece of research that Tasha Keeney had put out on autonomous back then. And I was on a phone call I couldn't get off, but I heard this whooping and screaming through the office. And I thought it sounded good. It wasn't an emergency, so I didn't have to leave that call. But I got out. I said, "What happened?" "Elon." And I said, "Okay, ask him if we can do a podcast." And we were there the next week.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
What do you think of him as an entrepreneur?
I think he's the Thomas Edison of our age in terms of his innovative ingenuity. And I also think, having met him a number of times, I think he's a very good person. He wants to do the right thing. If I had to say one thing, he wants to do the right thing to transform the lot of most of humanity. And he started with Tesla, SpaceX and Tesla. Tesla, was an environmental move, which I think a lot of people attacking his cars, who are probably very supportive of the environmental movement, they've forgotten. Sending a rocket to Mars and with humanoid robots and ultimately people, he thinks will transform life on Earth as well. Because as we've learned from space history, what we learn about material science and technologies that help us break through into these very difficult problems to solve is going to help us here on Earth as well. So I think he's a very good person and wants to do the right thing. That, if I had to describe him, that's what I say, other than genius of our time.
I often wonder, right, because he's had such a profound impact on the world in many, many ways through the companies he started. I think the biggest risk really is just his own health. He doesn't seem to sleep much.
Though he says that he does sleep. I think
really?
he recommends, I think, if I'm right on this, getting 7 hours sleep a night. And yes, but when he is focused, you know it. I mean, people even look. There were many pictures of him, whether it was standing, with other policymakers. And then he zones into something, and he's zoned in and thinking about only that and a problem that he wants to solve. So
you've invested, just over $2 billion in Tesla?
Let's see. So it would be roughly, yes.
In that region. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. You invested in Bitcoin very, very early. What was the first price that you bought Bitcoin for I think it was 2015?
Yes, it was in the summer of 2015. We got in at roughly $250. Today it's $104,000, I think, roughly. So we did get in very early. And we knew we were onto something, really, when people were making fun of us, saying, "Okay, that's a marketing trick. You're new to our business, and new to the new fund world, and you're trying to attract attention." And we were thinking, "Wow, they have no idea how much research we've done on this." And Art Laffer, my professor again from USC, we had him read our first white paper on Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Could it serve the three roles of money? So means of exchange, what we use every day to buy things, store of value, like gold, and unit of account. Would prices be quoted in terms of Bitcoin? Chris Berniski was our first analyst on Bitcoin, wrote the paper, Art read it, and added to it enormously in terms of economic theory, which was great for us. And then he said to us, he said, "This is what I've been waiting for since the U.S. closed the gold window in 1971. A rules-based global monetary system, like Bretton Woods under the gold exchange standard." And I said, "Art, that's a very big idea. How big is it?" And he said, "Well, how big is the monetary base of the U.S.?" Back then it was $4.5 trillion, and Bitcoin's market cap or network value was $6 billion. And I said, "Okay, that's a very big idea." And we were trying to get it into our portfolios. Regulators were hesitant, but I bought it right then for myself and haven't sold it, and I'm very happy with it.
You bought it for yourself personally?
Personally, because
What
we
price?
couldn't buy it, $250. So we couldn't buy it back then, but we finally got through the regulatory process. And we were able to the New York Stock Exchange said, "Okay, you can put a 1% position in the portfolio." And it was of a grantor trust called GBTC. So we did, and we just never sold it. They didn't tell us we had to keep it at 1%. So,
Oh, it's risen to be more.
yes, it ballooned.
And what is it about Bitcoin that you believe was and is still a good investment opportunity for the average person?
Yes. So at this price, it's about a $2 trillion market cap. And so halfway to that original $4.5 trillion, but our price target actually has expanded since then, because it's not just a global monetary system. It is a new asset class. And that's a very big idea as well. What makes a new asset class? And we haven't had one truly since equities in the 1600s.
When you say a new asset class, you mean a completely new category of
Funding
asset.
companies, yes, right?
So an
And
asset class would be something like technology is an asset class, right?
no, it would be like stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate. This is a new asset class, and most people will agree with that. We did a study on it. If this asset does not perform like other assets, in other words, it provides diversification for funds. And because it is behaving differently, institutions have to consider it because they're competing against each other. And if one puts it in, they all know they're competing against each other, so others have to consider it. And we believe that part of the opportunity has not been tapped. And just to put some numbers on this, right now, we're approaching 20 million Bitcoin outstanding.
Which means?
The number of Bitcoin that have been minted over time by Bitcoin miners.
So there's 21 million in total, right?
There will be, at the end of the minting process, 21 million. So we have only 1 million to go.
Yeah.
1 million would be, what is that? That would be $100 billion worth, a little more than that right now.
So just for someone that might not know much about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is mined using computers. And so far they've mined 20 million of them, and there's 1 million of them left to mine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So institutions really just started considering Bitcoin because the SEC gave the green light to Bitcoin with the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF in January of last year. And it takes a while for institutions to do their research and commit. And so they're just now committing. And there's only $100 billion of new market cap that is going to be created, whereas they have trillions of dollars under management. And so we think there will be a lot of incremental demand. And to satisfy a lot of that demand, someone's going to have to sell.
Which means the price goes up.
Which, yeah, if people don't want to sell, because Bitcoin's been awfully good, and our forecast right now, right now the Bitcoin's around 105,000. Our forecast for 2030 is $1.5 million. And we do that, the building blocks for that, the three biggest building blocks are institutional, which has barely started, store of value or digital gold. Young people are much more comfortable with digital gold than gold.
So on the institutional side, that means investment institutions start investing in it. Mm-hmm. Young people start investing in it as a way to save and store their money.
Yes, yes. And then the very important use case that many people do not discuss is how important Bitcoin and stablecoins, which are backed by U.S. Treasuries, are going to become to the emerging markets. In emerging markets, many of them are at the whim of policymakers who show no discipline in fiscal or monetary policy. And so they're used to going through booms and busts and booms and bailed out by the IMF, and they need an insurance policy.
So if you're in Venezuela, you need a currency that's going to be stable.
Exactly. Well, this Bitcoin is, so stable coins are stable vis-a-vis the dollar. Bitcoin is more of an investment because it does appreciate over time. Now you go through, it's volatile, no question, and that's the first thing people have to know about it. But it is becoming less volatile as more and more investors hold it.
So you think Bitcoin will potentially multiply in value by 15 times in the next 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that'd be pretty crazy.
It's a very big idea because it is a new asset class. It does represent a global monetary system, unlike any other digital asset out there. It is backed by the largest computer network in the world.